Alright, buckle up folks, because this story kicks off with a whole army, French powdered wigs and all, marching down dusty roads, plotting to smack some sense into the British. Think of it like Avengers Endgame, but with muskets, knee breeches, and less CGI. By 1781, the Revolutionary War was dragging on like a bad Netflix series that just wouldn't end. George Washington was desperate for a win that didn't involve retreating or strategically relocating, as he liked to call it. Meanwhile, the British were camped out in Virginia under General Charles Cornwallis, feeling pretty smug about their coastal stronghold at Yorktown. Little did Cornwallis know, a dream team of French and American forces was about to unite and ruin his beach vacation. Enter the French, led by the dashing General Rochambeau. Well, these guys didn't just bring military expertise, they brought style. Rumor has it they were the first to say, if we're gonna march to war, we're gonna do it fabulously. This march wasn't just about looking cool, it was a gamble on the entire war effort. Washington and Rochambeau knew this was their shot to trap Cornwallis. If they failed, the revolution could fizzle out faster than a dud firework. If they succeeded, they'd change the course of history. No pressure, right? The characters involved: George Washington, the stoic, stressed out leader trying to hold everything together with the energy of a dad planning a cross-country road trip. Rochambeau, a suave French ally who brought reinforcements, cash, and possibly the recipe for creme brulee. Cornwallis, the British general who thought his defensive position was unbreakable, like that friend who says, "You can't beat me at chess," but forgets to protect his queen. It's August 1781, and Washington and Rochambeau are rallying their troops. Their mission? Leave New York, march over 450 miles to Virginia, and corner Cornwallis at Yorktown. But first, they had to convince their men that marching through sweltering heat and mosquito-infested marshes was a good idea. Spoiler, it wasn't. Imagine this. American soldiers with mismatched uniforms, some barefoot, sweating buckets as they slogged through the countryside. Next to them, French soldiers in pristine uniforms, looking like they stepped off the runway at Paris Fashion Week. It's no wonder the Americans muttered, "At least we're fighting for freedom, not haute couture." The American troops were baffled by the French habit of stopping for wine breaks. One soldier allegedly quipped, "Guess their muskets run on Chardonnay." Rochambeau's men were equally perplexed by the Americans' obsession with coffee, wondering why anyone would drink something that didn't pair with croissants. The march wasn't just about walking, it was a carefully choreographed dance of deception. Washington and Rochambeau made it look like they were targeting New York to keep the British guessing. Even the troops didn't know the real destination until halfway through the journey. It was like telling your family you're going to Disneyland but secretly heading to the dentist. Meanwhile, the Franco-American forces coordinated with the French Navy under Admiral de Grasse. De Grasse was sailing toward the Chesapeake Bay to block Cornwallis's escape by sea. This coordination was next-level teamwork, considering there were no smartphones, Zoom meetings, or even reliable mail. The march wasn't all smooth sailing, or walking for that matter. The roads were a mess, supplies were scarce, and morale occasionally dipped. One soldier reportedly asked, "Are we sure this isn't a plot to make us all collapse from exhaustion before we even see the enemy?" Rochambeau, ever the morale booster, reminded his men of the glory awaiting them in Virginia. Washington, on the other hand, stuck to his classic motivational speeches, which could be summed up as, "Do this, or we lose everything, no pressure." After weeks of grueling travel, the Allied forces finally reached Virginia in early September. The sight of their arrival must have made Cornwallis choke on his tea. Between the French Navy cutting off his escape and the Franco-American army closing in, his dream of an easy British victory was unraveling faster than a poorly tied cravat. The march to Virginia set the stage for the siege of Yorktown, where the combined forces would deliver a knockout punch to the British. Cornwallis would soon find himself trapped in a nightmare of cannon fire, dwindling supplies, and relentless Allied forces. Spoiler alert, he surrendered, and the rest is history. The march to Virginia wasn't just a logistical triumph, it was a masterclass in collaboration. It showed that even with cultural differences, language barriers, and questionable marching snacks, the French and Americans could work together for a common cause. And let's be honest, it wouldn't have been possible without Rochambeau's wine breaks and Washington's steely determination. In hindsight, the march was like the world's most intense team building exercise. If you think your workplace trust fall is tough, try marching 450 miles in wool uniforms while coordinating with a navy halfway across the world. The French and American forces proved that with enough grit, strategy, and a bit of humor, they could outwit even the mighty British Empire. So the next time someone complains about a long road trip, just remind them, at least you're not marching to Virginia with George Washington.